Hello everyone, my name is Vishnu Vyas. Today I have with me Mr. Probir Das, Executive Officer, Terumo Corporation, Japan. Probir is also Regional Representative, Asia Pacific and India, and Chairman and Managing Director, Terumo Asia Holding. Probir sits in Board of Directors of various MedTech associations, including APEC-Med, Medical Technology Association of India, and also holds various leadership positions in many other MedTech associations in the region. Probir is currently based out of Singapore with his family. So hello and welcome, Probir, and it's my pleasure to have conversation with you today at DuPont Healthcare Platform.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me. Much appreciated.
Thanks, Probir. And let me begin the conversation by asking you a long question. So, as we are going through a challenging time of COVID-19, I want to ask you how you are coping with this time at personal front as well as when you are dealing with your AP colleagues to keep them motivated.
Let me first answer the second question first, in a sense that let me first talk about what we are doing at work, and then, of course, I'll answer your question on how am I coping on the personal front. In the business environment, I think our first priority today is like any others or almost everybody else. Our first priority is to keep all our associates and their families safe. So much before the government mandated in most parts of the world, and definitely in Singapore and across Asia Pacific, we mandated the split teams and work from home, and we mandated work from home a lot earlier than the government actually mandated it. So we have been really very, very focused on trying to keep our associates and their families safe. The second priority has been on keeping our supply chain intact, because no matter what would have been anyone's BCP, you are not prepared for a COVID. Right? You're not prepared for a 150 country lockdown, right? So we had some, though even through the height of the COVID rage in China, in Philippines, in Vietnam, it was not that bad. Vietnam government did well. And in India, we have plants. We have plants in Japan, we have plants in the United States, we have plants in Europe. So essentially, we wanted to ensure that the plants, to whatever capacity was absolutely possible, we kept the plants on, the supply chain on. Of course, there were disruptions due to, social distancing or staff arrival at plants, but we quickly went to almost 100% production very, very quickly. That was a commendable act. The third priority is on the commercial side, to make sure that we really ensure cash flow, because as you would realize that for years, for that matter forever, business has been run on a P&L basis, not so much on a balance sheet basis. And we quickly migrated to the balance sheet basis management and really focused on ensuring very tight cash flow across our different entities in different countries in Asia Pacific. The fourth priority, and we are very aggressively working on it, is to really have a very candid demand sensing activity. Because everybody is talking about new normal, and at Terumo we can't even start about talking about our new normal if we don't know what our customers' new normal is. And therefore we are going out and whether it is third party sensing, whether it is internal sensing activity, we are working very hard to figure out the future of procedures, the future of clinical practice, the future of volume, and we are planning a rebound. In part it's a rebound, in parts it will be a reboot, depending on what we are addressing. And so those, I think, are our core things that we are really doing to protect our 100-year-old legacy and our commitment to serve patients and continue to contribute to society, contribute to to the society through healthcare, which is our corporate mission. Now, coming to your second question, what is new in the personal front and how am I coping? I'll come to how am I coping a little later, but first let me answer what is new in the personal front. I mean, for those of us who have been in business for 25, 30 years, and I have been in business for 30 years, this is, while on one side the human tragedy is huge, right? So it is absolutely unthinkable human tragedy that we are surrounded with today. But on the learning front, I think I have learned in the last 3 months more than I have learned in the last 30 years. And I have had to have some extremely new paradigms. For those of us who used to pride ourselves in being road warriors of sort, traveling 15 days a month, I have been locked in my home for almost 3 months now, and I don't think the productivity has dropped.
Yep.
So this is a very, very, very valuable realization, right, of sorts, that when you're not face to face, you can still perform to potential. Maybe not 100%. Maybe many things have to change because we are hardwired to face working, shaking hands, backslapping somebody, just walking over and having a coffee chat. Some of those things, obviously, will, I hope, come back. But the fact that you don't need to be in a different country for a review meeting, that you can do that from 2,000 miles away, is a new learning for me. Initially, to be very honest, you talked about coping, so initially it was extremely frustrating. Initially it was, how do I say, it was almost throwing up my hands and say, how the hell will I do this? But I realized that, how the second learning is how adaptable human beings are. Now, not only have I, personally speaking, not only have I moved from face-to-face to virtual, but I have become quite proficient at it. Today, my effectiveness, I would say, in being a remote leader has definitely increased a lot.
Yep.
So that is a big learning.
Thanks, Probir. So my next question is extension to what we just discussed. The world has faced various epidemics in last few decades, and those have challenged humanity in many ways. So, in your opinion, what is the importance of MedTech industry in such epidemics or pandemics times, and especially in fighting against COVID-19?
Good question. I think the first role that we need to play is that in different ways, different companies can fight COVID-19, right? If you are in MedTech, some modalities don't have as much relevance in this current environment. We have some of them as well, but for those of us who can really touch a potential or a actual COVID patient, the bare minimum that we can do is absolutely our best. Whether it is ramping up production, whether it is doing what it takes to fix the supply chain, whether it is to make sure that the HCPs and the paramedics are supported, trained, and kept fighting fit throughout this period. Whether it is financing infrastructure through loaners, equipment, whatever it takes. Yeah, that's our first and absolute responsibility. People in in millions are affected, right? So that's our primary responsibility. But that said, I think for somebody who has been in medical technology for 30 years, I have often been pained at the very low recognition of the value of medical technology in human life. While on one side, it is medical technology which has prolonged life. 50, 60 years back, life might have been 55 years long. Today it is, in several parts of the society, 70, 80 years long. In some parts it's even longer. And to a large extent that is contributed by medical technology, which in spite of its small size within the healthcare conundrum, has a very disproportionate outcome in the progress of human life. Now, in that context, I see that there might be a new realization of the value of medical technology, which is very good. I think health systems need to really sit back after this is over. They need to really sit back and think, what is the place of medical technology in health system?
True.
I mean, we can't wait for another pandemic to scramble.
Yep.
Right? So that's one. And the second thing that we really, and it's a realization for me as well, as it is, and as it should be for everybody, is how brave our people are. I have seen our own associates, they don PPE and they go in to support these heavily infected areas with technologies that are bedside when a patient is undergoing treatment. Now, how brave? I mean, we have always looked at the people from the armed forces, etc., and said, they are the benchmark of bravery. But look at our doctors, nurses, and look at our own medical technology people today.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. So, many people are trying to be safe working from home, but my application specialists, my clinical specialists, my training managers, my service engineers, they cannot be sitting at home, and they are not. So this realization that we have real heroes within us, within our companies, is another valuable thing. So I think the importance of medical technology, the importance of medical treatment is not going to go away. And therefore the importance of medical technology is not going to go away. Right? It was always there, it is there today, it will be there tomorrow. But how it manifests in societal recognition, and I think as medical technology, we need to also create that awareness in people. Right now we are all fighting.
Yep.
Once this is over, one of the things that we are trying to do in APACMed is to create a value story of how medical technology came to the rescue in this COVID environment. Something like that needs to be done everywhere, because I think our populations deserve to know the value of medical technology, because it really impacts them directly. Their quality of life and ability to handle risk.
So true, Probir. And DuPont has also distributed millions of Tyvek PPEs to those frontline healthcare workers who are dealing with corona patients on day-to-day basis. Now come to Terumo. So how Terumo is doing during this challenging time of COVID-19? Is there any strategy change you see in terms of new product innovations, R&D expenditure compromises, and most importantly, when it comes to bringing the new technology, new products in the market?
So it's a big question, and it can't be fit into a 2, 3, 4 minute, 5 minute answer. But let me try to give you a very overall, sort of 30,000 feet gist. As a company, I think from a strategic standpoint, what we are trying to do right now is balance our long-term strategy with this immediate-term crisis management. Yeah, because if there is no tomorrow, there is no day after tomorrow. Like, many years back I was taught that if there is no short term, there is no long term. So that's a big priority. Thankfully, compared to several other medical technology companies, Terumo has a very richly diversified portfolio. So we have, as you would know, we have three large business segments. We have cardiac and vascular, we have blood and cell technologies, we have hospital products, right? So if you look at the most impacted by COVID business unit or business segment, that would be our cardiac and vascular, because almost throughout the world, there is almost no elective procedures. So if you're looking at our intervention cardiology business or graft business or whatever, or even our cardiac surgery business, barring one platform, which I'll talk a little later, it's very heavily impacted. But however, because we have such products as ECMO, which is used for very critical life support, and in the COVID environment, many countries across Asia Pacific and the world has really had to increase their uptake of ECMO and support patients, right? So that or our business of infusion pumps and syringe pumps, or our convalescence plasma business, which comes to rescue to create some sort of preparedness, taking plasma out of a healed COVID patient. So these kind of platforms are keeping our portfolio balanced. Now, whether that is compensating for the what do you call the elective procedures, it is not. So our businesses are impacted, but comparatively we are able to fight it out. Yeah. So that is one part of the Terumo operating reality. Now, if you see the other dimension of our strategy is that forever and forever we have promoted the traditional way, right? We were not, to be very honest, we have not been the most digitally savvy marketing company. Yeah. But we are having to very rapidly transform. I mean, I was in a discussion with one of our BU groups yesterday, wherein we are talking about VR goggles and remote product demo. So that's a very different company that we are crafting from a strategy standpoint. And lastly, if you did ask about R&D. So whether the new product innovations have not been affected, they have been affected because, at this point in time, a lot of bandwidth is going behind arresting the current challenges, right? And of course, I mean, a large part of R&D in our sector happens, through clinical trials in hospitals, yeah.
True.
And that is very, very, very effective. So if you can't run clinical trials with speed and with the numbers that you have designed, then your R&D gets affected. So to that effect, it is somewhat affected. But I think from a long-term orientation standpoint, our strategy isn't going to change. Our strategy will remain as it was. We will, of course, need to layer digitized on our existing platforms, and connected health, remote health, digitization of technology and digitization of promotions will become more a part of the strategy, but the core strategy will remain the same.
Thanks, Probir, for sharing your insights on Terumo. Now let's talk about MedTech industry in whole. What is the overall strategy MedTech companies are following amid COVID to sustain the business, keep it viable, and especially in terms of keeping the cash flow in control. Also, in your view, how MedTech industry will look like post-COVID? Do you foresee any significant upward or downward trend moving forward?
So I think, again, a great question. Thank you. Medical, there are a few things that need to be rethought, right? As we build, like I said, we can't have a rebound if you're not really going to reboot a few things, as we work them out or as we do them traditionally. First things first, in my opinion, the need for medical technology is not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. If at all, there is a clear indication that it will only increase. Health systems need to, governments need to put a lot more money in healthcare than in many places they had done. And where they were already putting a lot of money in healthcare, they need to really make it engineered for impact. Yeah, the bang for the buck. So, what will change for medical technology, in my opinion, is that go-to-market certainly will change. Mm-hmm. Yeah, go-to-market certainly will change. How we go to market, how we promote, so today the Paris course of revascularization has just started yesterday, I think. It's a very large intervention cardiology course. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it has ever happened in the past like that in its many, many years of existence. This year it's completely virtual. So the virtualization of promotion, the use of technology in this industry where if there was a case support or there was a machine repair, it was very common for people to take a plane and fly 3 hours to go to a case and support it and come back to life. Now that has to change, right? Mm-hmm. And as that will change, there is this whole discussion about omni-channel, physical versus digital, phygital, if you say, that sort of channel. So use of technology in product promotion or the rethinking of distribution and definitely focusing a lot more on cash. These things will have to change. Yeah, these things will have to change, and also the way we interact with our people. Today medical technology is a very didactic industry. Very meet, greet, touch, feel business. Now, how we will continue to energize our associates from thousands of miles away, how we will communicate with them in an environment where maybe for a long time or maybe forever, not everybody will come to work every morning, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the whole. So, what would we do on the front end of the organization and what we do to re-engineer the back end of the organization needs to all be rethought. And I think, and on top of that, people need to rethink their portfolios, right? Yeah. We have thought about BCP from a supply chain standpoint. We also need to think of BCP from a portfolio management standpoint. If it was there are different domains in healthcare, and as it proved to us, being in multiple domains kind of kept us. We are there in lifestyle diseases as much as we are there in a little bit in infectious diseases. We are there in blood and cell technology as much as we are in cardiology. So that kind of diversified portfolio, one needs to rethink in medical technology.
Yeah, thanks, Probir. So my next question would be, I think, last professional question for this session. Probir, how medical technology industry in Asia is responding to COVID-19? How do you see this market going post-COVID situation?
How it is responding is what I've already answered, I suppose, in a
Yep.
sense. So, people are, there is a technology response and there is a societal response, and both are very important. The technology response is what I have said, our technology should be next to the patient as much as possible. There have been excellent cases where people have completely reoriented their production lines. If you look at a company like Medtronic, whoever thought that Medtronic and Tesla could work together?
Yeah, true.
So those are great examples, beautiful examples. On the societal front, you see, I'll give you an example. Terumo made a $2.5 million contribution to, United Nations, WHO, $1 million, contribution to the COVID fund, etc. So, and not just that, yes, we need to do that, but at the same time, we also need to be really invigorating our work systems. We have had situations where our associates have sent, small, simple, little things matter. They have sent small greetings to these hospital nurses who are not coming home, for 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks together, right? We are going and having lunches with them. We are going and having, so these really matter, and I'm sure all medical technologies are doing it. How, now your second question, maybe a bigger question, a more important one is, what is it post-COVID? How will MedTech look post-COVID? Look, I can't say that I really understand in entirety how it will impact, because whether there would be a second wave, how long will it last, how soon the vaccine will come, and even if the vaccine comes, how soon can you immunize 6 billion people, 7 billion people? There are lots of questions. So it is fully yet to be understood, and therefore what is going to be the exact ramification is very difficult to say. And I would not attempt to do that. I'm not an epidemiologist. I'm a simple business leader. So, but in my opinion, there are 3 things that I am watching, or I'm encouraging my people to watch and form insights on. I think in a crisis, it is very important. Speed and insights are very important. Speed to manage today, insights to manage tomorrow.
True. Yep.
Very important. So from an insight standpoint, we really need to try and watch and understand and even influence how the clinical protocols evolve. Right? Between procedures, now, will there be a disinfection, a much higher disinfection protocol? Will people follow social distancing in the triage room? So all of this will, if you sit in an Indian hospital, in the outpatient department, you would see patients sitting almost on each other. Right. Now, if you put 6 feet distance between them, then your entire patient flow then suddenly falls down. So clinical protocols, how they evolve, is a very important box that we need to keep watching. The second thing is, how does patient sentiments and their behaviors change? I was recently reading that in Singapore, where the sentiment of a patient or of a person is to go to a GP very quickly. Because unlike India, you can't go to, and thankfully so, you can't walk into a hospital and buy an antibiotic off shelf and just pop it. So the GP visits in Singapore are very, very frequent, or they were. But 500 people recently, I think it was done by a market research company, and the respondents, I think 51 or 52% of the respondents said that they would not want to go to a GP, even if they were not feeling good. So the patient sentiment is, to a large extent, it is not just people are not allowed to come back for elective procedures. They are not wanting to come back for elective procedures. Right. So if this patient sentiment then has a link to the clinical outcome, because in cancer, in cardiology, in these kind of things, if the patient is not coming a little ahead of time or at the nick of the time, then the way the case will present later is a lot tougher and a lot more complicated. So how the patient sentiment and behavior will link to clinical protocols and how clinical protocol in itself will evolve is something that we need to really keep a watch on. And the third and the last thing is financing of healthcare. It is a fact that people across countries are realizing that healthcare needs more money, but it's going to be a catch-22 of sorts, because people do realize they need health system strengthening.
Yep.
But at the same time, country after country has really economically gone into big trouble or going into big trouble because they have spent a whole lot of money in subsidies, COVID management, societal upkeeping, etc., etc. A small country like Singapore has spent almost $100 billion. Yeah.
Yep.
If you look at Japan has spent almost $1 trillion.
Sure.
United States, I think we are talking about $3 trillion. Now, these are extremely large sums of money which have already been pumped in for this crisis bridging and crisis management. Now, therefore, the government's need to invest in healthcare is going up, but the government's ability to invest in healthcare is going down. And therefore, perhaps the future of medical technology will have to rethink, how we rethink our revenues. Today, we rethink our revenues from a product standpoint, right? We don't quite think of our revenues as a risk-sharing standpoint, right? So if you have a sort of a risk participation, as maybe medical technology will partake more or participate more or become a partner in healthcare infrastructure build. There could be some very significant changes the way, not just in Asia Pacific, but globally, medical technology copes with this new normal, new reality, right? How that will happen is anybody's guess. I don't quite know, Vishnu, but as a student of, as a lifelong student of environment, I'm watching it very closely. Yeah.
So true, Probir. So my last question will focus again on the personal front. So it's not long you have moved to Singapore, but are you missing India? Those board meetings at Terumo office where you used to physically present, and also those keeping yourself into those Starbucks line to wait for your cup of coffee, and you are waiting for 45 minutes or 30 minutes. So are you missing all those things?
The answer is yes and no. I moved into Singapore about a year back, and the first 6 months went in trying to settle down, and then the next went in trying to fight COVID. I've not had much time to really feel, sit down and feel much. But that said, as leaders, when we make a transition, it is very important in our head to make that switch, right? So it is easy for me to hold on to what I left back in India, Terumo India operation or my advocacy work. But I have the how do you say, the peace of mind or the satisfaction that I left it onto very, 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 very capable people. Perhaps people who are even much more capable than me, so I don't have to worry. Whether today our Terumo India organization is rock solid. So, I'm not missing the boardroom per se. I'm missing the people sometimes. But we have enough and more interaction. And digital allows such beautiful interaction so frequently. So that's, like I said, that's a big learning. And on a lighter note, when I miss the Starbucks, I go to a Starbucks and stand in the queue. That's the advantage of globalization, to be very honest.
True.
Singapore is a very global city, and so in part it's because from there. But in part, you're so busy in learning new things that you don't quite.
Sure. So one thing is good about Singapore is that you are away from home, but still you are at home. You don't get that feeling that you are not within your people. So it's very nice and humble country. So many good people.
It's a beautiful place to be in. Yes.
Sure. So thank you very much, Probir. That ends the conversation. We really thank from our DuPont Healthcare platform to thank you for joining us for this session, and look forward to have more sessions with you moving forward. Stay safe, stay happy, and say my hello to your family and Terumo people.
I will certainly do that. Thanks for having me on this platform. Really, really grateful. To be able to first meet you again, and then perhaps through this medium reach out to people that mean a lot to me. And likewise, you also stay safe. The situation in India is a little tight, I think.
Yep.
So, the safest that you can be is the best for your loved ones. So, take care. Yeah, Vishnu, take care. Thanks.
Thank you so much, sir. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
See you soon.